Roundtable Sports Network brings you NFL divisional debate coverage on a weekly basis from your favorite content creators across YouTube, featuring the AFC East Roundtable live Monday and Wednesday evenings, the AFC South Roundtable live Tuesdays at 7 p.m. EST, the NFC South Roundtable live Tuesdays at 7 p.m. EST, the NFC West Roundtable live Tuesdays at 9 p.m. EST, the AFC West Roundtable live Tuesdays at 9 p.m. EST, the NFC North Roundtable live Wednesdays at 6 p.m. EST, the AFC North Roundtable live Wednesdays at 6 p.m. EST, the NFC East Roundtable live Thursdays at 6 p.m. EST. Roundtable Sports, real coverage from real fans.
NFC South Roundtable, how are we feeling tonight? It is your usual suspects back at it again with another breakdown. Here, we are going to be breaking down everything that happened here in the NFC South for Week 10. As always, I am your host, Colby Cochran, here with Roundtable Sports. Today's video brought to you by BetUS. As always, we'll talk to you guys a little bit later how you can get an exclusive limited time deal from them to have a little bit of extra fun this football season. But we got some great matchups to get into. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and bring on in the fellas. And Smitty, buddy, let's start with you this week. How you feeling, my man?
Hey, man, I'm hanging in there, man. It was a tough loss, but hey, new game, new week. Hey, let's get it going, man.
Hey, man, and we talked about this last week, Smitty, right? Any given week, especially with those in-division games, especially with game one of an interim head coach, it is really hard to predict those types of games. But if I'm correct, you guys are still in the playoff picture, right? This didn't throw you out.
6-4, yeah, still 6-4. That was a tough game, man. They came to play, and they played like they had nothing to lose, like TJ said. So, hey, really wasn't no surprise, but it's just time to bounce back. You know, keep that thinking cap on, and this coaching staff has got to get up and play coach every single Sunday. Don't take a week off.
Hey, man, it's always hard to lose to an in-division opponent, but it's also hard to game plan for a team where you don't really know their identity. So, you know, like I said, definitely a tough loss there, but, you know, you guys can definitely use this to kind of learn from your mistakes, get back on track, and like you alluded to, you guys are still in the playoffs. So, again, although it's a loss to an in-division rival, it really doesn't throw you off all that much, but you know, let's go ahead and let's bring on TJ.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? What's happening? What's happening?
Oh, man.
Great to be here, man.
Come in here with a smile on his face.
Hey, man. In a month.
Yeah, man. It's been a minute since I smiled, man. It's been a minute since I smiled, Smitty. You know, man. You know what your boy been going through, man. But look, check this out. I know we 3-7, man. But man, it feels good to have some leadership in that thing. Feels good to get the victory, man. It's been a minute, man. It's been a hot minute, man. And I got my hater blockers on it because I know some people gonna have something to say. I know we 3-7, but you ain't gonna rain on my parade today. I'm blocking all the haters out today.
Hey,
all
man, honestly, man,
here on the NFC South Roundtable.
Hey, honestly, I thought you were coming from a Kumo D concert, to be honest.
Hey, man. I had to put on the big shades, man, because I knew I was going to have some major haters up in here, man, hating on my 3-7 right now, man. But I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling good.
Oh, man.
Hey, man, too, if you think about it, CJ's kind of in a lot of ways won the last 2 weeks. You fired Dennis Allen last week. You come in here with game one of an interim head coach and you get a dub against an in-division rival. So, you know, people might be coming in here thinking, oh, TJ's riding sky high for 1 week, but nah, TJ's riding sky high over the last 2 weeks.
Hey, man, look, it can't get no better than this. I'm sorry, Smitty, man. Y'all, you know the rivalry, man. Look, if the Saints don't win another game this season, I'm good. I'm good, man. I'm good right here. I'm good right here. Let me enjoy my week, man. Let me enjoy my week.
Hey, man, I can't wait to get into this game because there's a lot to break down, a lot of emotions to also break down between Smitty and TJ. So we'll get into that game a little bit later, but let's go ahead and let's bring on Clay. My man, how you doing?
Good, man. Back-to-back wins. I can't remember the last time I could say that as a Carolina Panthers fan, but it's good. It's a good win. I know there's some people out there that didn't like it. You know, they're because of the draft, and I think, you know, it is what it is at the end of the day, man. Like, it's a good win. It's a good feeling to win.
So where are you right now, Clay, in terms of your mindset? I kind of want to get a weekly check-in here with Clay, because as a Patriots fan, my team, they're in kind of that 3-win range here too, but they got their quarterback last year with Drake May, and it seems like they're balling out with him. But a lot of Patriots fans still upset that the Patriots are winning. They're upset that they won last week because they want them to continue to tank. Where are you and the rest of Panthers Nation right now? Are you guys in the mindset of don't win, try to get the best draft pick possible? Or do you want to try to go into 2025 with a good and winning mindset?
I think that's what we want. Because it's a culture change now for the Carolina Panthers. It's about changing that culture to bringing back that keep pounding, mantra that we have. So I think it's about, keep winning right now. If we win, we win. If we lose, we lose. I mean, either way, at the end of the day, it's a win-win situation. That's the way I look at it, even with the Bryce Young situation. You continue to play him, see if he develops. If he develops and turns things around, great. If he doesn't, well, you get the number 1 overall pick in the draft. Simple as that. And do I think that Carolina goes and gets a quarterback in this draft class? I don't think so, because I don't see it. This draft class to me is not very good. I think the NCAA is watered down. If you go watch the NCAA right now, anybody can beat anybody. And so, I just don't see it. I think Carolina needs to rebuild that defense, and that's what they're doing in this next coming draft. And they're saving for their quarterback of the future in 2026.
Yeah, because the last thing you want too, right? You don't want losing to become habitual. You don't want it to become the mindset, because it's really hard to get players out of that rut when your culture becomes just filled of losing. Also, it's hard to bring in quality players through free agency and get players bought into what you're trying to build as a rebuilding team when you're constantly losing. But like you alluded to, not really a good quarterback class. I know people want to, build up Shador and whatnot, but what was it, 2022? People tried hyping up that draft class, and it wasn't a good draft class. That was not a good draft class by any stretch of the imagination. And I kind of view this draft class being very similar to 2022. To me, this is a good draft class for edge, defensive backs. There are a lot of good
D-line
quarterbacks, not one of them. D-line, D-line's another really good one of them, which, by the way, soon enough, Roundtable Sports on their main hub, their main YouTube channel at Roundtable Sports, we are going to be bringing back the Draft Roundtable, talking about prospects, getting on your favorite creators, kind of, breaking down their 7-round mock drafts, divisional mock drafts. So a lot of really cool things coming here with Roundtable Sports. But let's go ahead and let's bring on our boy, James, man. How you doing?
I think I'm going to live vicariously through Clay and TJ today. I think I'm just going to live through their energy, because the Bucs lost their 4th game in a row, and this is the 10th time my heart's been broken this season. So brutal stuff. But at least they have a bye week to hopefully get some things straightened out. But I'm happy to be here as always.
Hey, man, another close one, too, though. I mean, a win is a win. A loss is a loss. No such thing as moral wins.
I was going to say, Colby, here's the thing, is another close one, but they keep on losing.
Yeah, it doesn't matter at the end of the day. But at the very least, and it really is the very least, but I'm trying to put a smile on James's face here. He's been going through it over the last month now. But at the very least, you guys are playing close games. So if you just switch up maybe a couple different things, you can find a rhythm. You just have one little change that can give you a bit of an extra momentum boost. Maybe you guys start coming out with some wins. Do you have any hope that your team can make the postseason?
I mean, the only hope that is there is that the Bucs have the easiest strength of schedule throughout the remaining rest of the season. They play against Carolina twice, the Giants, the Raiders, the Saints. But I mean, now all those guys are winning. So now I don't even know. So
when does Mike Evans come back?
After this bye week.
Yep.
Ooh, okay. So get some reinforcements. That's a big one for you guys. That's a big one.
I hope Mike Evans can play edge rusher and linebacker and cornerback.
And then might as well ask. It don't hurt, right?
That's right.
Hey guys, but before we start breaking down these games, want to give a massive shout out to the sponsors of this video over at BetUS, because we could not be here without them. And they're the best damn sportsbook on the platform. Everybody at Roundtable Sports uses them. Everybody you see on the screen right now uses them. And we teamed up with them to give you guys, like I said, an exclusive offer of a 150% sign-up bonus on your first deposit, followed by 125 on your next 2, all the way up to $2,000. That is a deal on your first 3 deposits when you use the promo code that you see on the screen, YouTube150. Again, that is YouTube150. to be locked in for this exclusive offer. BetUS, they got the fastest payouts in the industry. They can give you a 200% crypto deposit bonus. You can get a 10% back on your net losses 2 times a year, which is something that no other sportsbook is doing. So again, BetUS changing the landscape on what it means to be a sportsbook, and they can give you your very own personalized account manager. They also have live wagering on all major games. They got the best damn betting variety in the business. I'm not just talking about player props, parlays for NFL games, but I'm talking about NFL futures, the NFL draft, who's going to have the first overall pick. We've talked about Travis Hunter in the past. You can even bet on who's going to be MVP, coach of the year, all this really good stuff that, hey, if you're in the same position that my Patriots are in, or even in the same position that maybe Clay's Panthers are in, and TJ's Saints, and James, I hate to say it, but at this point, your Bucks too, or maybe we're not looking at the postseason. We don't maybe really care much about the rest of the season. We're looking on to the offseason. Maybe those NFL futures are for you, and BetUS does have that. They also have college football, basketball, baseball, horse racing, fighting, politics, entertainment. If you think that it's something you can bet on, I promise you BetUS is going to have it. We could not be here, though, without BetUS. Guys, Roundtable Sports, we're up and coming, but we are still new, and we could not be here. We could not have all these creators and be taking care of them if it wasn't for the sponsors. So please make sure you guys go ahead, check them out, but most importantly, play safe. But fellas, let's go ahead and let's start getting onto these games. And Clay, I want to start with you. Like you alluded to, your Panthers, they get another win. This is back-to-back wins now for Carolina. Do you think that maybe this can be somewhat of a turning point? Can they start getting a little bit of momentum? Talk to me about this game and where you're at.
Yeah, I mean, this is luckily enough, we got a bye week to obviously rest up, get some of these guys back that have been benched for a while. But we also, can regroup and hopefully continue this momentum. Obviously, coming back from the bye week, we got to play a Kansas City team that is somehow just finding ways to win football games. I feel like we haven't seen the best of Kansas City, but the next back half of the schedule, Carolina, it looks pretty tough. So I do see some wins on that schedule, but not every one of them, right? So, but in this game, they won. They barely avoided imploding. I think both teams, it felt like both teams were trying to lose this game. I felt like that because Carolina lucked out in this one. It was messy as hell. Somehow they stumbled to victory. In classic Panthers form. The defense saved the day for us, and I can't believe I'm saying that because I have not talked on my channel, about this Carolina's defense. I have been very hard on Najiro Evero. The defense actually came in, saved our asses again, and they might as well rename the team the Carolina defense, featuring an offense for a comic relief because the offense was absolutely atrocious. But Chuba Hubbard ran for over 153 yards, a touchdown, obviously proving his worth. Thankfully, the defense had his back. I got to say this, though, for New York Giants fan. That $40 million for a ghost hunting expedition was for Daniel Jones was pretty exciting, huh? Because Jones was his usual hot mess, throwing wild 1 minute, threading the needle the next. And at this point, the Giants are paying a guy $40 million for a dude who chased ghosts on the field. The bench is looking closer every game for that guy. Bryce Young, he wins, but for me, he looked average. Young didn't exactly light it up. Yes, his confidence looks better. His footwork looks better. He's making some better decisions. He wasn't an absolute disaster. Right now, he's out there doing what they want, which is manage the game. But I think this is Young's development that might take a reality check once he meets the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, defense, again, finally find some grit. DJ Wandon was a nice spark to this pass rushing room. The Panthers are getting better, but let's be real. They're no playoff contender. They're not absolutely trash, but they were a month ago, but they've got heart and they've got grit. And I'd like to see the fight in this team. After losing 5 straights, they come back and they win 2 straight. So that's scrappy and that's respectable. And I can celebrate and be happy with what I'm seeing on the field right now.
And real quick, too, before we get on to James and his thoughts about this game, I want to give a big shout out to Rodney, who comes in with a $5 donation. Of course, when you guys donate, you get priority. You get your question, your comment, your concern thrown up on the screen, good or bad. But Rodney, appreciate you for supporting the channel. You come in and you say, word to my dog, TJ, we beat the Falcons by a score of 20-17. Man, Saints Nation, I already know y'all going to be repping tonight. Y'all going to be repping tonight, man.
Oh man, that's just a little joke from the channel, man. It was just a little joke. So I was alluding to the score throughout the podcast. So that was just a little inside joke. But thank you, man. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it.
Shout out to our boy Rodney, man. But James, let's go ahead. Let's go back to you. What did you think about that Panthers win over the Giants?
So, fun fact, I actually had to drive from Orlando to Tampa during the morning of that Sunday. So I was like, you know what? Let me, they're playing in Germany. Let me turn on this game. First things first, Rich Eisen sucks at commentating football games.
Hey.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Secondly, holy crap, this game was boring for a while. At least the first half I watched. But you know what? Hey, Carolina got a win, man. Shout out to them for getting a win. Hey, is Bryce Young back? I mean, come on now. Come on now, Clay, right? Hold on. Show Clay. Show Clay, Colby.
I got you.
Is he back, Clay?
I'm not going to say he's back, but I'm going to say this. Like I said it, and I alluded to it, this. He's showing confidence. His footwork's better. He's making better decisions. Right now, he's developing into at least a game manager, and that's what it looks like. And other than that, if I need to see more. Because 126 yards does not sound like to me he's back.
No, he's not back. He was very average. But hey, Chuba Hubbard looked good in this game. Shout out to him for getting the bag too. Didn't he get like a 4-year, $33 million deal or something like that? So he's great. He looks like a top running back in the league right now. And like Clay was alluding to, the defense showed up. Dude, Daniel Jones is going to get benched. Like, holy crap, this guy is not good. But look, man, it was a good win for the Panthers. It must be nice to have a team that can, win, and close out games. I would not know the feeling. But yeah, man, no, congrats to the Panthers. Good win for them. And hey, 2 wins in a row. That's pretty sweet.
Mm-hmm. Got another donation coming in here from T. Riley, who comes in with a $2 donation, says Saints 20, fail Cants 17. Ooh, man, let me tell you, like I said, Saints Nation is coming in. They're representing big time tonight. Man, big time. But TJ, let's go down to you, man.
Yeah, as far as the Carolina Panthers, I'm going to be honest, I wasn't surprised about this victory at all. I look at the Carolina Panthers, I see a team that fights extremely hard. They fight hard for that coach. They fight hard for that organization, and those guys care. And you have yourself a collection of young players. Everywhere I looked, I seen young rookies making plays, man. And I think that's positive for the future. And I look around the landscape of the National Football League when it comes to some of these quarterbacks. I think that we need to kind of pump the brakes on the expectations. I think the expectations are so high for these young quarterbacks. They don't have an opportunity to develop and go through the motions. Like Bryce Young was the first overall pick, yes, but we have this expectation about what a quarterback should look like, especially since you've seen what CJ Stroud did. And I feel like that's unfair because every now and then you'll have a CJ Stroud. Every now and then you'll have a Cam Newton or RG3 when he was a rookie. Guys light it up. Jaden Daniels, what he's doing. But on the other hand, you got Caleb Williams. You got some of these other quarterbacks. Drake May, he sat down for a few weeks before he played. And I just think that when it comes to Bryce Young, he was tossed into a situation that was terrible. You got to admit with that, Clay. And you also have him kind of going through the motions. I think that him sitting down and Andy Dalton starting a few games, it kind of put things into perspective for him. I seen that kid out there having fun. I mean, he scrambled for a first down. I'm seeing him pointing. I see him like on the sidelines. He has energy. And I feel like, maybe he may not be everything a first overall pick needs to be. But if he has that confidence and you have yourself 2 wins, and yes, it was low-hanging fruit. I know he played against my Saints and the Giants, but it's still a confidence boost. And when you win, it feels good. and it also just kind of makes you take a breath of fresh air for a week. So I was glad to see Bryce Young in that position. Now, the Giants kind of fumble the ball away literally, and you all kick the field goal. But all in all, man, this team is playing hard. They're not going to win all the games going forward. But the fact that they're actually playing for their coach, they actually care. That's a plus right there. And as a Panthers fan, that's the only thing that you can ask for. A team actually cares about the product they put up on the field when they're shorthanded and they're missing some guys. So kudos to them, man. They did a real good job in getting the victory, 2 straight.
All right, Smitty, let's go on over to you.
Absolute facts, man. Just like you said, that shows the sign that the coaching staff is strong. The man going forward, but they're going to be able to build around. They won't get a quarterback in the draft this year, so I think they'll go Travis Hunter, one of the better defensive ends in this draft, to build what they have been known for throughout their existence, which is their defense. And they are getting off to a good start, actually. But again, the Giants are just that bad. Like I told y'all last week, man, I wouldn't trust Daniel Jones to unlock a key through a door. He's just that bad. But Carolina is growing, and it's something positive to build off of. But the Giants are going nowhere, and they'll be stuck with Daniel Jones again next year, to be honest, because no quarterback is coming out, and I don't see a veteran quarterback going there unless it's Andy Dalton or Joe Flacco. Other than that, I don't see it.
Yeah,
You don't think Shedeur Sanders could be
Deion not going to allow that. I don't
in
see
New
it.
York. You think a big media market like New York?
The market is big, and the way he's an advertising magnet,
right?
But bad as that team is in the front office, I just don't see it.
I mean, yeah, Shedeur did, or not Shedeur, but Deion rather came out and just said, actually, a few minutes ago, I saw it popping up the reports that he's going to make sure. I don't know how the hell he's going to do this, and I think Deion needs to take a damn step back, but saying that he's going to make sure that Shedeur goes to the right place for him. He also said that he's going to make sure the same thing for Travis Hunter. I feel like every single time, these players, they get too involved, their parents get too involved, it always hurts them.
Man, crazy. I actually think Shedeur is going to end up in Dallas with his dad when he becomes the coach of the Cowboys, and they trade Dak Prescott.
Oh, Smitty, I like that. I love these hot takes, man. I want them all off season, man. We're gonna have a lot of fun this off season, so let's keep them hot takes flying, brother. I love it. But before we go ahead and we get on into the Buccaneers game, I do want to let you guys kind of have an updated look at where each of these teams are in the order of the 2025 NFL draft. I know that there are some teams here in the NFC South that aren't exactly living up to expectations. Maybe some fans here who are looking more so towards the draft. You want your team to fail so that they have a higher draft pick. So after week 10, going into week 11, this is what the updated look is. So let's see. We got the Saints here. Currently they're at 7. And then where are the Panthers? The Panthers, they dropped all the way down there to 9, man. Like what? A week ago, 2 weeks ago, y'all were at 1. So, man, any given week, y'all can fall. But let's come back here and let's go ahead and go on over to James. And James, break down what happened for your Buccaneers. You said what? 5 straight losses now?
4 straight losses, and they're all painful. First, you have that Ravens one where Chris Godwin gets knocked out for the year. That's miserable. Then you have 3 winnable games that you lose. All 3 in a row. It's not fun. And for this Saints game, look, there were some positives. Okay, there were. Baker didn't turn the ball over. I thought that was great. I thought that Bucky Irving played a good game. I thought that even Rachaad White played a good game. And even defensively, yeah, it's, some guys make plays, like Elijah Cansey made a couple of plays here and there. But one of the biggest things that this team has not been able to do the past month is finish games. And again, like the Falcons game was a winnable game. The Chiefs game was a winnable game. The 49ers game was a winnable. I mean, the 49ers tried to hand the Bucs that game. I mean, your field goal kicker misses 3 kicks and you can't get the job done. That's like an indictment on coaching. That's an indictment on execution of the players. That's an indictment on really just the organization as a whole. This team doesn't know how to finish games right now, unfortunately. The bye week couldn't have come at a better time. Yes, the Bucs are in second place, in the South, but boy, it doesn't feel like it. I mean, they might as well be last place because this is it's just not going well right now. It's not going well. They need to figure out how to close out and win football games if they want to have any chance of making the playoffs this upcoming season. So yeah, we'll see. But again, another tough loss. There were a couple of positives. Like there was one play where Baker was literally stiff arming Nick Bosa for 5 yards down the side.
Oh yeah, that was incredible.
And still completed a 4th down and 6. That's like a type of play where you're like, oh, that's one of the plays that won them the game, right?
Yeah.
We've heard that story so many times, and it's like, well, no, because 1st and goal from the 8, the Bucs 1st and goal from the 8-yard line. And they can't punch it in for a touchdown. They have to settle for a field goal. And then with 30 seconds left, something like that, and 1 timeout, Brock Purdy goes all the way down the field, gets the game-winning field goal. It's like, well, it's can't make that stuff up, man. So, like, I know that a lot of people have been critical on Bowles lately. And, again, you're only as strong as your leadership is. And this is losing 5 out of the last 6 games, 4 of which are winnable games, right? That I would say is a fireable offense in most cases, So we'll see how the rest of the season goes, but I think everybody would agree, like based on how this past month and a half has gone, yeah, like Bowles is definitely on the hot seat right now. His seat is warmed up thoroughly.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think he deserves to be on the hot seat too? Because you obviously look at a lot of the injuries you guys have surfaced, and that definitely has to play a part because before these injuries, y'all were cooking quite a bit.
To that point, Colby, I agree, right? I asked this question too, like when do injuries stop becoming a reason and start becoming an excuse, right? Mm-hmm. Because on the offensive side of the ball, the Bucs are without Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, and they have still put up in the past 5 out of these past 6 weeks. Let's just take a look at the 4 losses. They put up 31 points against the Ravens, still lost. That was without Mike Evans throughout half that game. Then against the Falcons, you don't have Evans or Godwin. You still put up 26. Against the Chiefs, you put up 24. Against the 49ers, you put up 20. The defense during those games allowed 41, 31, 30, and 23. So, like, I do understand that the defense has injuries, but also the offense has injuries as well. And that's why I've mentioned so much on the show that, like, I love Liam Cohen as a coach because he's elevating the guys that are there. Kate Otten and the running backs have been doing a fantastic job on the offensive side of the ball. So far, Todd Bowles and his defensive coaching staff have not been elevating the play of their players on defense. It's very similar to what the Saints were dealing with Dennis Allen in some ways. Now, I still think these players are playing very hard for Todd Bowles and his coaching staff. I still think that you see that, but just something's not clicking, right? And yes, injuries are a thing, but now it's like, okay, this is like the 5th week out of 6 where it's like, well, hey, if so-and-so was healthy, they would have won that game. Well, they're not there. You got to work with what you have. This is the NFL. People get hurt. That's just the nature of the business. And I'm going to tell you what, these past couple of weeks, Winfield Jr. was there. Levante David was there. Vita Vea was there. Kalijah Cansey was there. Zion McCollum was there. What are you supposed to do? I mean, and I think so I do think that his seat should be warm, right? Because if you don't close out a game once, okay. It happens. It's the NFL. Twice, that's not great. 3 times, okay, this is getting really bad. 4 times, now what are we talking about? Now that's becoming that's just who you are as a team. So yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, TJ, before we get on over to you about this Bucs game and your thought, I do want to get into a couple of these super chats. Y'all are being super generous today, and we really, really, really appreciate that because it supports us so much. But Eric comes in here with a $5 donation, says, thanks for the love, NFC South Roundtable. Keep pounding, baby. B. Loggins comes in here with a $5 donation and says, yo, James, go Bucs. Belichick will be coaching an NFC South team next year. A lot of coaches are going to be out. I mean, we talk about players being on a short leash. It's the same thing with coaches. And we've talked about that here on the NFC South Roundtable. It was like 2-3 weeks ago we talked about this, that, coaches are being fired at a much faster rate than we've seen in recent years. So it's going to be interesting to see if Belichick gets an opportunity this year, or in rather 2025, because we know that he had multiple opportunities, multiple open coaching opportunities, and nobody wanted him. So I don't know. I've been saying the NFC East. I think that the Cowboys or the Giants, who Belichick's been linked to very much, like there's a lot of teams linking to Belichick. It's going to be interesting to see if anybody picks up on it. Shout out to our boy B. Loggins. Chosen comes in here with a $5 donation and says, I put my phone on Do Not Disturb, a.k.a. Atlanta Falcons mode. That way I know I won't get no rings. Hashtag who that? Oh. Damn, Chosen. Ooh.
Brutal.
Damn. One sentence and he hit on everything. Right to the core, Chosen. Damn.
Oh, shit.
You okay, Smitty?
Shout out to my man Chosen.
Oh shit. Oh.
Smitty's gonna be thinking about that one for the rest of the night. Chosen's looking back like that was well worth the $5. That was well worth.
That was
I appreciate the love, man.
Hey, let's go on over to TJ. TJ, let us know what you think about this Buccaneers game.
Well, before I start and tell you about the game, I want to mention something that James said. You know, a couple weeks ago when we were talking about Todd Bowles and him being on a hot seat, I felt like, you know, the fact that the team was kind of winning, kind of being, you know, division leaders over the last couple of years, I felt like, yeah, maybe it's a little bit safe. But one thing about me, you know, when I evaluate and look at coaches, I look at how do they perform in adverse times, because I feel like if everything is going the right way, you got the right players, everything's clicking, everything's gelling, it's easy. But when I look at, you know, coaches like, you know, Matt LaFleur out there in Green Bay, he loses Jordan Love when Malik Willis comes in and he's still able to right the ship. I mean, Sam Darnold and Kevin O'Connell, you know, like those are the type of coaches I look at like they got something special there. When it comes to Todd Bowles, I'm concerned that he needs all the stars aligned for him to be successful. And I think over the last couple of weeks, we saw when they were kind of limited, they can't seem to rise to the occasion. You got to be able to make the necessary adjustments. And over the last couple of weeks, they haven't been able to do that. They haven't been able to close out those games. When you have that head coach, you need them to be able to come together, especially in some of those, third, fourth quarters when you need to make plays. You need to scheme and make sure that you have a plan. And I'm just concerned, man. And you look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers situation. They have really good ownership. They draft really well. This is a good destination spot for one of these hotshot head coaches. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if they fire Todd Bowles and get Ben Johnson, because this is the type of situation he will want to come to. So he has a lot of pressure, not just to perform this season, but I mean, what you're doing, you know, down the line, because he could get fired, because this is a good spot. This is a good spot for a lot of these young coaches to be able to build. You can build something with some of these younger players. Baker Mayfield has shown that he can actually do something. So I just wanted to mention that. But as far as this game, you know, they had opportunities to win this football game. Like you said, I mean, 49ers, it seemed like they did not want to win this football game. You got Deebo Samuels over there punching the long snapper in the face. I mean, it was brutal, man. So to me, you got to be able to win games like this, man. You're at home. You got to be able to come away with a victory, man. And they couldn't manage to do it. I mean, it's very alarming. But they're gonna have to figure it out, man. I mean, I understand that they got a first place schedule. You're playing the team that won their division last season, so that's tough. But at the end of the day, when you are at the top of the division, like, everybody looks at you as the best, and you have to perform. And right now, I'm concerned about Todd Bowles' job, because it doesn't seem like he can get his team together and close out some of these games. They've been close. They're playing hard for him, but sometimes that's not enough. And coaches end up losing their job. They fight hard, but when Black Monday comes, they're on the outside looking in. So I'm concerned about Todd Bowles' job security right now.
Smitty, what do you think about this game and the current situation of the Buccaneers?
I think they have too many weapons on offense to be still not pulling games out in the end. Defensive wise, it's Todd Bowles, man. He's calling the defense, so it falls square on his shoulders. And I'm gonna make an analogy that the more things change, the more they stay the same. We talked about Dennis Allen in Oakland, about how he started, bad record. We should have knew what he was going to be when he took over in New Orleans. Pretty much the same for Todd Bowles when he was with the Jets. He started off very well, hot streaks here and there, but in the end, he just fell off because he couldn't keep up. So now it's pretty much the same thing in Tampa. And just like TJ said, you got to be able to perform under pressure. That's when great coaches, that's when they rise to the cream of the crop. Yep. And I just don't see it with Todd Bowles. He's a great defensive mind, a great defensive coordinator. And I think that's what he's best at. And I think that's what he should stick to. And that's, no shots at him getting a head coaching job. But if you're great at something, just stick to that and just leave it at that. But the Bucs as a whole, they have too much talent on that team with or without injuries to be losing games just like they lose them. It's just no excuse.
All right, Clay, let's go on up to you. Any last thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat this, James, so I'm sorry, but the Bucs are suck at closing games, man. And Bowles is the problem. He can't coach his way out of a paper bag, man. And his clock management and his killer instinct, it's MIA, bro. Like, it ain't there. Like, Bucky Irvin deserves the damn ball, and he's outgaining White every game, yet they keep splitting carries. That doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. All right. The defense is a hot mess. Yes, injuries or not, I believe that. But Bowles' weird substitutions, when you watch that game, the top players aren't on the field together. Forcing Winfield to go full beast mode to cover everyone makes no sense to me. Like, you're ignoring the wide receiver depth chart. That's a massive mistake with Evans and Godwin out. Mayfield's left throwing to ragtag wide receiver crew, relying on Cade Otton way more than he should. And right now, the Bucs' pipe dream of making the playoffs chances are tanking faster unless they turn things around, or they're going to be toast by week 12.
Facts.
Hey, let me ask y'all something though. Do y'all see that as a trend for defensive-minded head coaches? Like they always seem to be super conservative, especially in some of those crucial moments. Rather punt the ball on 4th and 2. Late in games, just taking a conservative approach. Have y'all noticed that?
I'd have thought about that because it's, they're defensive-minded guys, so they're going to trust their defense.
Right.
Right. Whereas if it's an offensive-minded guy, well, of course, they're going to trust their offense to go get that first down or to go get that 2-point conversion or whatever it may be. Right. So even in some of the examples that we've seen, like not going, some people have said, like, why didn't the Bucs go for it on 4th and goal to try and score a touchdown against the Niners? Why didn't they go for 2 against the Chiefs? Because Todd Bowles trusts his defense, whether it's the right decision or not. He's the defensive play caller. He's the guy who's coaching up this defense. So if it was a reverse and it was an offensive-minded coach, you would probably see those decisions flip. But that's my theory on it.
And that's true. And honestly, that's when you got to trust your coordinators. If you don't trust your coordinators, why the hell did you hire them? If you don't trust them to make the right calls at the right time in the game, hey, it's going to be these kind of losses. So if you're a defensive-minded coach, lead the play calling to the offense. You got to trust what he called out there on the field. He's the one calling the game. He sees what's going on the field. He's the one coordinated with the quarterback. So you just let them do them. And when you do that, I mean, you have a better outcome.
Well, hey, guys, look, let's go ahead and let's get into the final game. We had a big in-division game, like we alluded to earlier. The Falcons, the Saints, with game 1 of an interim head coach, and the Saints were able to prevail with their backs against the wall. And TJ, man, I'm going to give you the floor. I want to start with you, man. You come out, you're sky high, you get back in the win column, you do it against the Falcons, an in-division opponent who are also a playoff team. How do you feel? Talk to me.
Put your shades back on.
Nah, I'm gonna take them off, man. I'm gonna take them off, man, because in all seriousness, this is what this team actually needed, man. After 7 weeks of just losing and disappointment and hearing how bad you are and hearing how terrible and you in a Travis Hunter, Shadir Sanders sweepstakes, like it can take a toll on you. And last week was a really positive week, not just for the fans, but the team as well, man. I just think that everybody just needed to turn the page. Dennis Allen was a wet blanket. He was not a good head coach. He could inspire absolutely nobody. Couldn't coach his way out of a wet paper bag. I mean, these guys were over it, and they needed a shot in the arm, and it came in the form of Darren Rizzi. I mean, he is the complete opposite of what Dennis Allen is. Dennis Allen is one of those coaches that doesn't really encourage those players. You never really hear him talking about, those players in development. This guy went on the radio down in New Orleans talking about he doesn't have any great young players. Or after you're on a 6-game losing streak, I mean, you might as well just go ahead and punch a ticket, out of the door. But Darren Rizzi comes in, he changes things around. He makes Alvin Kamara the captain. He does all these different things to try to build the morale of the team. And they went out there and they played a football game. And I said this when we were doing predictions. They did not want to play for Dennis Allen. These guys went out there. They had no business being in this game. If you look at how the Saints have performed over the last 7 weeks, they had no business being in this football game. But they played for a guy that they actually believed in Darren Rizzi. And no, it wasn't a perfect game. Some of the same things that got them beat, it happened in this game. But it was something different. They did not give up. They didn't quit. Some of the things that normally they would do, and they'll be like, man, here we go again. I mean, you think about the play that could have decided the game. Alvin Kamara wide open, drops a pass. I literally was like, my goodness, this team is somebody put a hex on this team or something. I thought, like, man, this team is cursed, but they found a way to be able to finish the game. You have Chase Young out of nowhere, sacks Kirk Cousins, and now their back is against the wall. And, even with that, because there was a play, I want to say, in Atlanta, they end up getting a penalty. I think Atlanta got a penalty, like a 10-yard penalty. And I think the next play was like pass interference, and that set up the Young Way Cool field goal. So I was like, I still felt like the game was, like they about to lose this football game. But they found a way to win. And the city needed it. These players, they needed it. And I think that Atlanta game plan was completely wrong. I think when they looked at this defense, they looked at the secondary being depleted, and they decided to throw the ball early in the game. And I think that was a huge mistake. They started to run the ball. That's when they started to find success. You look at B. John Robinson, almost 6 yards a carry. Tyler Algier, I want to say close to 5 yards a carry. As a team, as a unit, they averaged 5.7 yards. I mean, they outgained the New Orleans Saints. I think they controlled the time of possession. All of the things that in some cases the Saints have led in those statistical categories and found ways to lose. And it just flipped on its head. And that's why I say that, man, sometimes it just comes down to wins and losses. Some guys are winners. Some guys are losers. And Dennis Allen is just a loser. Like, it doesn't matter, like, what the situation is. Like, he's going to fumble the bag. But for some apparent reason, Darren Rizzi comes in and they have no business winning a football game, and they won. The Saints went up in there with Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Kevin Austin, and broke down Dante Pettis and went out there and won a football game, man. So I guess you could say, most people would say the Saints stood on business. In this case, I'm going to say they stood on business. The New Orleans Saints got the victory.
Yes, sir. All right, Smitty, man. Let's go on over to you. What do you got to say about that?
Man, they ain't had the business. The Falcons beat themselves, man. It's just no way around it. 3 missed field goals, and we talk about those missed field goals, but it never should have got to that point because all you had to do was run the football. The team giving up 376 yards a game, and you can't figure out a game plan. Beat up secondary. Kyle Pitts, a no-show again. Those linebackers couldn't check him, and look, I'm telling y'all, they have to get this together because this is the second game, counting the Seahawks game, that, they just were unprepared, and that's exactly what happened. Yeah, we can talk about Alvin Kamara dropping that pass, but the Falcons stopped the Saints on 3 straight drives. So you mean to tell me you couldn't get nothing going? It's just Coach Raheem, just like we just talked about Todd Bowles. Trust your offensive coordinator. That's all you got to do. If you see if him and Kirk Cousins is on the same page and something is working, just like you said, we're running the football. Remember when I said last week on the preview show, if they run the football, hey, that's all they got to do. A team that can't stop the run 150 yards a game. So we beat ourselves. It's just overthinking. And at the end of the day, when you overthink, sometimes games like this turn out to be this way. And do y'all remember that last drive, 31 seconds left? You mean to tell me you can't get the play in, you lose 20 seconds, then when you finally complete a pass, it's 4 seconds on the clock, and you don't even get nowhere near the first down mark.
Can we ask why? I mean, the question is, why the hell is Kirk Cousins not trying to throw it past the first down marker? Why is he checking down? That's the Kirk Cousins that I know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and I'm sorry, like that's the Kirk Cousins that you're all gonna have to get used to, Falcons, because that's who he is. And if he doesn't, he's a check down Charlie when the pressure is on, and he folds like a cheap tent every single time. That's why he's not very good in primetime games. But if I'm the Saints, right? That's what's his name? Darren Rizzi. He has more Riz than obviously Dennis Allen does. And he had this team all fired up. Joe Woods, you got to give him some shout out. He had that defense playing like a boss. Valdez-Scantling finally showed some of that speed. The offense, it's a little flaky, but they did their thing. Defense actually finished strong on the Saints side, so I got to give the Saints defense. They got the win by sealing the game not once, but they did it twice because that Atlanta offense gave a shot that really they didn't deserve. But the Falcons, on the Falcons side, they just blew a pile of chances to win it. Like, Bijan Robinson was the only guy actually doing his job. The defense.
Well, Algier had 59 yards too.
Yeah, I mean, they were running the football.
Right. Fair. But the defense let an injury-riddled Saints offense embarrass them. That's the issue that I have. Like, the special teams.
First half, I agree with that. But second half, they adjusted, and they found the way to stop the Saints, even though the Saints stopped themselves. They found the way the second half to stop the Saints. The Falcons could not capitalize on offense because they were trying too many rinky-dink plays, man. Too many dump-off passes. Instead of going vertical down the field, they wasn't going to stop you. Alante Taylor had 3 holding calls the entire game, so that lets you know he couldn't cover a plate in the microwave. So
it was crazy that Valdez-Scantling was making plays, and it was, that was the crazy part. Like, I haven't seen Valdez-Scantling make plays like that since his Green Bay days, probably. And then Young Ho Koo or Young Wei Koo. How do you pronounce his name? Young Wei, Young Ho. Young Ho.
Young Ho.
My Young Ho Koo.
Yeah, but Young Wei Koo, I mean, gosh, one of the best kickers in the NFL, honestly, and he misses 3 field goals, 2 outright and 1 block.
But I'm telling you, he should have not been in that situation. They offense been scoring over 30 points the last 5 games. You mean to tell me against the depleted defense you can't put up 30 points and you beat other teams that were way more talented than those guys? It just didn't make sense when they got in the red zone, running the ball down the throat, pounding in the end zone. They almost blew one of the touchdowns. They got on 1st and goal on the 2-yard line, barely scored. So you mean to tell me you can't draw up a play where you can get Kyle Pitts and Drake London the football? Yeah. Dudes, a 5'9" corner against a 6'4" receiver. Make it make sense.
Yeah, no, I just think as a Saints fan, it's a good win for you guys. It's a nice turnaround. It's hopefully maybe you can keep this culture kind of like what Carolina is going through, right? Rebuilding that culture back up, right? As for Atlanta, and if I was a Falcons fan, it's a shaky 6-4. You're facing a very resurgent Broncos team that should have beat the Kansas City Chiefs coming up next week, which we'll talk about later on. But this might be the knockout punch if they don't shape things up. That's all.
Hey man, I said the same thing, man. I'm not ashamed to say it. This the type loss that could ruin your season. Me and TJ talked about that a couple times. These type losses could shape your season and give you, shake your confidence and going forward. can we trust each other? It's a trust factor, and that falls on the head coach at the end of the day.
Let's go on over to James, and James, you can wrap us up with your thoughts on this in-division game from Week 10. Saints, man, Saints and Falcons. This is a good one. Break it down for me, James. Come on, I know you got some heat there. I know you got something for me.
And you guys were giving me crap when I talked about Darren Rizzi risen up the coach. I saw Colby's soul leave his body when I said that last live stream. Well, look what happened. Smitty and TJ, welcome to the Riz zone because the Rizzler has arrived, okay? That's all I've got to say about that. Listen, this was also, hey, shout out Marquez Valdez-Scantling, former USF Bull from St. Petersburg, Florida, my neck of the woods. So shout out to him for that. Look, we've talked about it, about how division games are just so crazy, right? We've also talked about how sometimes making, changes in the sake of a spark can help lead to wins. It happened with the Panthers with Andy Dalton earlier this year, and it happened with the Saints here with Darren Rizzi. So, I mean, look, man, this was a game that the Falcons did let slip through their hands, unfortunately. I mean, it's okay, Smitty. Smitty, if there's anybody here in this live stream who knows the feeling, it's me. But
I won't be jumping off that bridge, though. I'm not going to go that far.
I'll save the spot for you. It's okay. I'll give you enough time. I'll give you some time. We might get there eventually. Anyway, point being though is again, this was a game that the Falcons probably should have won, but I mean, hey, kudos to the Saints for a win's a win, right? A win's a win. It doesn't really matter how you get it. The reverse could have happened where a field goal kicker misses 3 field goals and your team still loses a football game. I can't imagine a team being in that type of situation. I have no idea what team would lose to a field goal kicker who loses 3 field goals in a game. Anyway, look, I still think the Falcons have some good stuff going on. Bijan Robinson had a great game. Tyler Algier had a really good game. It's just where they didn't make enough plays to win this game. And Kyung-Hae Koo's a part of that. Not, being able to drive the field to getting touchdowns is a part of that as well for the Falcons. But shout out to the resiliency of the Saints. Again, like everybody was alluding to, like Marquez Valdez-Scantling popping off for 2 deep touchdowns. Kevin Austin Jr., like all these different types of guys who are like, who? Like, oh, that guy's still in the league? Like, they're making it work. And that is a breath of fresh air for the Saints. I think it is it's positive because now you're seeing like, okay, these guys want to play and win, not just for the coaches, but also for each other. And that was a change that the Saints needed. And it is a tough loss for the Falcons. And they are going to have to look to rebound for it. So I agree. It is some shaky ground right now for the Falcons going forward. The positive is that they've still got a 2-game lead here in the NFC South. And they still won their first 4 divisional games, which is a positive thing for them.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. All right, guys. Any last thoughts before we wrap up here, fellas?
Go ahead, Smitty.
To James' point, man, we just been talking about coaches most of the show. Going into the bye week, depending on how things turn out in Denver, really, I don't honestly care how they turn out in Denver, win or lose. You got to seriously think about handing over play calling duty to Jerry Gray to call the defense, because whatever Jimmy Lake is dialing up, nobody's not answering. I'm going to keep it real with y'all, because he just seemed lost. Like I said, he didn't show me anything at Washington that he could come in and coach a defense, an NFL caliber defense with all pro players and vets. So you got to look at, Steve Wilkes, like I said, Jerry Gray. You just got to make a change, because it's time to force more turnovers and get more sacks to make this a complete team.
TJ, got any last thoughts?
Yeah, I was just going to say some of the receivers that you were alluding to, James, Valdez, Scanlon, Austin, Pettis, all of those guys just had a really good week of practice, and Darren Rizzi started to look at them. I mean, I don't think if Dennis Allen was the coach, you would have seen any of those guys. This is a Dennis Allen. I'm going to tell y'all how incompetent this fool is. Dennis Allen, out of spite alone, put Kendre Miller on IR. This man played in a game against the Chargers, played really well, had a little bit of soreness in one of his hamstrings. I mean, something that he probably could have, rehabbed during a week and would have been able to play. He put the guy on IR based on out of spite. Out of spite, man. You had Valdez-Scantling, like he got signed I want to say 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
Healthy scratch. Now, automatically on Sunday, as soon as he stepped on the field, he was the best receiver out there on the field that they used. And they had him on the bench the first week, which I didn't understand. And they can't say, oh, well, he just got here, because I just seen Mike Williams get traded from the Jets to the Steelers, and he scored a touchdown in his very first game for them. So it's just stuff like that, man. It just tells you the difference between a guy who just trying to go through the motions and figure it out and doesn't have a clue versus a guy that's confident and sure of himself and believe in his players and put them out there for them to perform. I don't think you would get this victory, or you would have had these unusual suspects on the field making plays if Dennis Allen was your coach.
Well, hey guys, look, that is going to wrap us up here for our Week 10 recap. As you guys already know, we got to head on over, make our pre-recorded video to give you our predictions and thoughts for everything that is going to happen in Week 11. That'll drop for you guys in a few days. Want to let you guys know too, and just reference the fact that we are also on Spotify. So if you guys want to listen to our episodes, not just on YouTube, but let's say, you're going on a plane, or you're going on a train, or you just want to fall asleep, you're cooking up a dishes, or you're cooking up a meal, you want to listen to the NFC South Roundtable's latest video. All of our content drops. It's about a day or two after it drops here on YouTube. So make sure you guys go ahead, check us out on Spotify for all of our episodes. Give us a follow, rate us. It really, really, really will help support everybody at Roundtable Sports, and especially everybody here at the NFC South Roundtable. But another massive, massive shout out to BetUS. Make sure you guys go ahead and use that promo code, like we mentioned, YouTube150, to get that exclusive offer from them. But as always, we appreciate you guys so much for watching. You'll see us in a few days, but we will be live back here on YouTube, as we always are, every single Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. But until then, we appreciate you guys for supporting us as always, and stay safe.